Let's talk some sports, baby.
Taken by Iguodala. Iguodala to Curry. Back to Iguodala. Up for the layup. Oh, blocked by Jones.
And remember, make tomorrow better than today, and make today better than yesterday. And you know what we gonna do. We gonna holler at you until next time, baby.
Welcome to A Drink of Wisdom. With Jay Wise, I'm your host, Cody Ward. Thanks for spending some of your time with us tonight. Drink's little girl's got a birthday, so he won't be attending this evening's festivities, but we wish her a happy birthday. What's going on, man?
Hey, what's going on, brother? Let's do it.
All right. In episode 75, could the Wizards or Suns make the playoffs? Baseball still really hasn't gotten its act together, and Drew Brees made some news. But first, the NBA is back. After a long 85 days, the NBA officially finalized a rough plan to get back to basketball and finish the 2019-2020 season. The plan is to bring 22 teams to Walt Disney World in Florida and start with an 8-game finish of the regular season. These games will be used to solidify seeding, determine the 8 seeds of the playoffs, and be used for tune-ups. They'll be played over a 16-day stretch with 5 to 6 games occurring per day. A play-in tournament will be needed if the 9th seeds are within 4 games of the 8 seeds. The playoffs will then get underway at our conference best of 7, just like we know it, but the schedule will attempt to get these series going as fast as possible. This means the finals wrap up no later than October 12th, and the NBA offseason will have about a month and a half with a tentative December 1st start date of next season. It's a lot to it, Jay. What do you like and dislike about it?
Yeah, first off, this is the fact that we're going to get NBA basketball again is outstanding news. It's news we've been waiting for ever since Rudy Gobert was out there touching microphones and testing positive. So this is a big day. This is happening a little bit later than I would have liked. I would have liked to see games perhaps going on a little bit later this month. But this is a win, and we got to take a win where we can get them with the limited action or no action that we've seen recently. But of course, there are some things that I don't really like about this. I'm really curious why we having to drag some of these teams in here that have no shot. Spoiler alert: no, the Suns and Wizards, they're not going. We won't see them in the playoffs. They're just too far back. The Wizards are 5.5 games back. The Suns are 6 games back. You only have 8 games. It's just not going to happen. And it's one of those things where if I'm the Memphis Grizzlies, I'm feeling a little screwed right now because they've been the 8th best team in the West predominantly pretty much the entire season. They're 3.5 games up right now on the 9, 10, and 11 teams. That would be the Blazers, the Pelicans, and the Kings. And now you're telling me that all those teams have to do is remain in striking distance of you at 4 games at the end of this 8-game stretch, and they get a play-in tournament for the 8th seed that Memphis has been in for much of the season. And I'm not certain on what that play-in tournament looks like, but one thing I did read is if let's just say the Pelicans are 4 games or the 9th seed and they're within 4 games, there would be two games that they would play. If the Pelicans win both games against Memphis, they would get the 8th seed. Well, that doesn't equal out. If you're if to really make it equitable, if you're 4 games back, to me that would mean, okay, we're gonna play a game right now and see if New Orleans wins, we play another game. If they win again, we play another game. They should have to win 4 straight games if they're 4 games back to make the playoffs. And if they lose any one of those games, it's over. Memphis is in. The cynic in me really thinks, and there's no credence. I don't know if there's any credence to this, but this whole thing smells of a ploy to try to create a path for Zion Williamson to make the playoffs. And I understand there's I mean, if that's the case, I'm not going to crush them too hard because there's a business side of this, and in the business of the NBA, it would look cool for Zion Williamson to be in the playoffs. A little Zion LeBron action in the first round. But in the interest of fairness and being somewhat correct, Memphis is getting a little screwed here, in my opinion. But outside of that, this is an absolute win. This news that we've got that the NBA is coming back, and we're gonna finish the season. It seems like they've got measures in place. They got testing. That was a big thing I've harped on this entire process. They had to have a testing process. It seems like that's something that they're going to do on a daily basis. They're also going to implement other social distancing mitigation precautions. So outside of the one issue I got with it, I think there's a lot to like about this, and the biggest thing to like is we're going to have basketball again.
Yeah, we sure are. Overall, I think, we look at this. This is probably what the NBA was going to do, right? I mean, we previously talked about some possibilities on a different show. We all kind of come up with our own plans, and I think we were all pretty much in agreement that it should just be the teams that were in the playoffs. But that's what I would have probably done. I think that's what we would all have done. But the NBA, they had to balance a little more than that. TV revenue is still a big driver of this, and they're already roughly taking about a 40% pay cut, or about a 2/3 pay cut from this. But you can recoup about 45% of your lost money if the players do have some semblance of a finish of a regular season versus no regular season at all. You just jump right to the playoffs. And that's going to allow these players to recoup some of their money, because we see other leagues are having a hard time with that, which we're going to get to later. But and it also it is giving more teams a chance. Like you said, these late season playoff runs, they can be exciting at times, although this is a little different, I guess. And they are trying to capture that essence, though. And it does make the games a little more meaningful, not just for the bubble teams, but also if there's teams jockeying, for playoff seeding. You get teams like the Rockets and the Jazz, and teams that are trying to get in their playoff seeding and not have to play the LA teams in the first round, especially in the, other teams in the Western Conference. So, not only these 6 teams get a chance to make the playoffs, but we're also going to see those teams get a better chance to get their seeds in order. My main concern with this, outside of your very correct point that the Grizzlies are getting absolutely railroaded, is the basketball could be really sloppy here. I mean, we're talking about 85 days off, and then we're going to be another 30 to 45 before games really get underway. I think like mid to late July is when we expect the games to literally start being played. So you're talking about a long break, and we all know how the preseason basketball and early season basketball can look. And I think it's going to disproportionately affect teams with superstars versus teams with more role player team chemistry build. Say the Lakers versus the Celtics, a team that has just 1 or 2 huge superstars versus a team that plays much more team oriented basketball. Like, I think we all realize the big stars they're still in shape. I mean, they have money to hire personal trainers. They can build basketball courts in their backyard if they feel like it. But these mid-tier role player guys, or some guys maybe that go overseas, there's going to be guys that are significantly affected by this and not going to be able to just jump right back into it at full strength. So I think that there's a chance that some of these star-driven teams are going to have a sizable advantage, that they can just go, hey, LeBron, hey, Kawhi, hey, Giannis, just go do some cool stuff, versus having to rebuild, all that practice time and chemistry you build up. The other little issue I think is an issue. It could be the coronavirus, if it were to affect them significantly. As in, they've already said, hey, if somebody gets it, they're going off to the side, they're getting quarantined, we're moving on. We're not going to have another complete shutdown. But what if it gets in a locker room and then a bunch of players get it at one time? What if 3 of them are asymptomatic for a few days, and then all of a sudden you have 4 or 5 players with one team with it? Or let's say LeBron or Kawhi or someone gets it. Well, then what? Are we going to keep going? Are we going to tell the Lakers or the Clippers that you can't have your superstar, but sorry, we're going to move on, and they got to quarantine for 2 weeks? So it's got a couple issues, but I do like that overall it's timely. As timely as you can expect in the situation. Like I said, one of the biggest points I had was, man, I don't want this to run over into the next season as much as we can. I want to get this in, get it out, get it done, and I don't want to affect next season too much. And right now, it looks like we're going to get the draft and free agency in October. They're going to have like a November training camp and get underway December 1st. So hopefully that's enough, because I want to see it get back to the home courts. I want to see fans. This is nice, but hey, get it over with, and let's get to the next season where we're going to have it back to normal. So overall, I'm happy we're getting something for sure.
Yeah, and to your point about if someone tests positive, we know that one positive test is not going to derail this thing.
Right.
But that is a fair question about what will it take? How many positive tests is it going to take for this thing to get shut down again? Because, and I have to believe that is something that has been discussed. We just don't know what that line is. But yeah, I think there'll be a line there's got to be a line drawn to prevent a crazy outbreak.
It's doubtful because they've said, we're going to be really testing like every day, like every single day, in and out. You're going to be, you can't leave the reservation, so to speak, for the most part. But you wonder, say in a month when players' families start showing up, they're going to want to be with their families, and well, then what? What if one of their kids got it at a daycare or something?
Will families be under the same restrictions that the players are? Yeah.
It'll probably be really tight right at first, but then as the months go on, what if they start relaxing the rules and then something happens? I guess is probably the biggest chance for that to happen.